Another Lightroom tutorial. Here we go. Let's simplify the tone and the RGB curves in Lightroom. Let's dive right in. You can find the tone curve under the light section just by clicking this button here. This line represents the tonal range of this image. In this particular case, it's just a simple black to white gradient. Now you can see at the bottom we've got the shadows or the blacks. In the middle we've got the midtones, and at the top we've got the highlights. Now if I bring the shadows up, I make the black parts of the image white. And if I do the opposite, if I drag the highlights or the whites down, I make the white parts of the image black. Now, if we make a point on this line and bring the point up, we brighten that part of the image. And if we bring it down, we darken it. So a lot of people use the tone curve to enhance contrast in their image by making an S-curve. And this really is a very basic way you can make a big impact without having to change much else. But once you've played around with this, you can really use this to make all sorts of shapes on the tone curve that can massively change how an image looks, whether that's flattening the highlights or opening up the midtones if they're really dark. Lightroom also gives you tone curves with 3 primary colors that essentially make up all the colors in an image. If you make a point on the red curve and you drag it up, you add more red into the image, but look what it does to the other colors as well, particularly the blue and the green. If you drag it down, you don't subtract red, you actually add cyan, which you can see from this diagram is the opposite color of red. And again, you can see what changes that makes to an overall image. So you can really use this to change color quite drastically overall. Moving to the green one, again, if you add a point on the green, you can see what happens. If you make a point on the green curve and drag it down, you can see how it adds this pinky magenta color to everything. It's the same for the blue curve too. By either adding more blue or adding more yellow, which is the opposite of blue, you change a lot of the colors. Here's a picture of St. Paul's Cathedral. Now I've made some basic adjustments already, but I'm just going to show you what you can do in the tone curve and then the color curves as well. So I start off just by making a simple S-curve that adds a bit more contrast, but I wanted to open up the midtones a bit more so the cathedral is more visible and not quite so dark. Now we're going to do a super dramatic edit on this just because I want to show you what you can do in the tone curve. It's not necessarily something that I would do, but this is going to be completely over the top and contrasty, so you can at least get an idea. So you've done the basic edits on the S-curve to add that contrast. And now we switch over to the red, green and blue colors. Now the idea here is you're going to make an S-curve again. In the red, green and blue, you want to match the lines up as close as possible. Now look, the colors are looking really stupid, but I promise it will look a bit better. Now it may take a little bit of time just getting the colors exactly the way you like them, and you may have to go back and forth, but the idea is you just get them roughly looking the same. And you can see how this looks very dramatic and quite contrasty. Sometimes you might just use one of the color curves, but more often you'll use all 3 together because that has the biggest impact without making the picture look too weird. So here's what we started. This is the original raw file. Then we made some basic corrections. Then I added contrast in the tone curve, and this is what it looks like after we messed around with the RGB curve. I hope that was useful. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.